Kyle was never a popular kid, even though he was smart, athletic, sociable, and decent looking. He just didn't have that edge like the popular boys. It seemed like the popular boys were always the bad boys, the mean boys, the too cool for school boys. I guess the pretty girls found the nice guys like him boring, uncool, just too average. Eventually, Kyle found his niche in university where some of the girls seemed to like the smart guys. And even though he dated a few pretty girls, the ones he really wanted still seemed to be out of his reach. Those girls all wanted the Chads, the guys with exceptional good looks. If he had to rate himself, he'd probably have given himself a 7. But it seemed like all the pretty girls wanted the guys who were 8s and 9s. Kyle was in his early 20s when he discovered the red pill. He had just been dumped by an amazing girl he'd been dating for over 2 years. She had replaced him with some Chad, a dude who was a solid 8. He'd always tried to be the perfect boyfriend. He'd done everything she wanted and more. It just wasn't enough. He was crushed, devastated. A few months after discovering the red pill, Kyle discovered the black pill. What he was hearing made sense. Almost 90% of the women were all chasing after the same top 10% of men. A guy with average or below average genetics was doomed to failure in today's modern dating world. Even a 7 like himself had to fight over the scraps left by the 8s and 9s. It was so unfair. Kyle decided to send in some pics to a YouTuber on Fiverr to get his face rated. He needed to know where he stood. He was rated a 6. It cut like a knife. He sunk into a bottomless pit of depression. How could he be a 6? It wasn't possible. He spent months in anguish. The worst thoughts imaginable ravished his mind. Eventually, Kyle woke up from his stupor and spent the next few months looks maxing, doing everything he could to improve his face, growing facial hair and getting a better haircut and losing weight. Kyle sent his pics in again. This time he got a 7. He felt a bit better, but it still wasn't enough. He needed to do whatever it took to be an 8. Kyle spent the next 3 years taking out large loans and undergoing expensive facial surgeries. But when he finally got that email that said he was now an 8, it was all totally worth it. He now had the confidence to approach any woman, and the dates came rolling in. Although Kyle never got his girlfriend back, he eventually landed a solid 8. And Kyle did everything for her. He paid for everything. He bought her gifts. He took her on expensive vacations. There was no way she would ever leave him. A year later, she dumped him for a guy at work. A guy who was clearly a 6. This dude may have been jacked and confident and driven and ambitious, but his face was only a 6. This didn't make sense. Kyle was clearly 2 points better. How could she go from an 8 to a 6? It was ridiculous. He was an 8. Wasn't that enough to keep them interested? To keep them loyal? It was around this time that Kyle was introduced to evolutionary psychology. It also made sense. After all, humans had been evolving for a very, very long time. In the past, looks mattered, but so did being strong and powerful, being confident and assertive and driven and ambitious and unafraid. A man could not protect and provide for his partner and offspring by merely having a perfectly symmetrical face. And although times have changed, we cannot simply erase our evolution. Kyle decided to focus more of his attention on improving other things other than just his face. He started working out and getting strong. He began writing down his goals, both short-term and long-term, deciding on ways he could level up and improve all the other areas of his life. And over time, what number he was didn't seem all that important to him. Being the very best version of himself and living his best life possible began to eclipse everything else. Now I know what you might be thinking. Well, Kyle started off as a 6. What if he would have started off as a 3 or a 4? But all we can do in life is the very best with the cards we were dealt and become the very best versions of ourselves. In the end, it's all about living your best life and accomplishing your goals, your dreams, your agenda. Women should always be a complement to your life, never the focus. We are all extremely lucky to be alive. Enjoy it.